Last Epoch. Can I samurai?
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Can I Samurai series. This time we are here in Last Epoch. You can see already I played a sentinel and I tried to play it as a samurai. So the rules are always changing, of course, depending on the game, but the main rule is I am only allowed to use weapons that a samurai would use, and I only allowed to use attacks, skills that are kind of resembling samurai skills, and also kind of like ailments or something. So just for example, I can't take damage or chill on hit or something because that has no explanation whatsoever for a samurai. You know, let's get into it and I explain to you how I did it. What was my thought process about it? This is not a build guide or anything. This is just a recreative, fun way to play games. I enjoy samurai culture. I like samurai culture. I'm interested in it. So I wanted to give it a little bit of a spin to my gaming. So let's get into it. So as you can see, I picked the Sentinel because he resembles the fighting style and also the weapons that you need for this kind of funny playstyle. So let's get into his kit and what I chose for him. Of course, we have the Sentinel masteries, and I usually went for physical damage, bleed damage, damage over time, and defensive stats. So you can see here, melee, physical damage, of course some retribution. Here that was very important. So you can play with two katanas, like the famous Miyamoto Musashi. You can really see I have all those defensive stats over here. Void Knight doesn't work really well with the samurai playstyle because of course you have some defensive points passives that you can put in, but attacks are very much void based and it doesn't fit the art style in gameplay really well. In Forge Guard, almost the same with the summons, with the playstyle it is not the best pick, I would say. We went with the Paladin because you have a lot of nice elemental resistance. This is what you need because we don't play. Of course, damage over time, defensive stats, and even healing hands is explainable, I would say, and I come to that later. But this is what I went with. Endurance, here is also endurance threshold. And as you can see, I still have 2 points because I don't know which one I should choose here. You get here health and healing effectiveness, also increased damage. But here you get a lot of more survivability. That is the Sentinel Paladin Samurai build. And now let's go to the skills that I use. We start off as almost as a bushi. So you can see that here we have a spear, right? So I went with lunge and we went for the double lunge use. We went for wider area, more damage. Usually everything you can get like damage and survivability. We don't take the javelin spear throw because usually Japanese warriors and samurai didn't use their spear as a throwing weapon. Before that, I went a little bit with this here plus the bleeding, but this is not your main damage skill. So I thought like this is more like your cover the area or escape from the enemy's skill. Then I went with Rive because Rive has the typical ability of slashing through your enemies in a wide range, and it looks cool when you have two swords. It even looks cool with a one-handed odachi. Of course, we went with something that is really helpful here because the third strike of Rive kills the enemies and a threshold of 15% of their HP. So that is really cool to finishing bosses, because bosses are sometimes really hard. Then I went with attack speed for sure, and you can see crit damage. I will explain that to you already. I started to use this skill, but it changed later on. So I have this skill still here because it's useful for bosses, but I don't use it anymore that often. I will explain later. Then we go with Vengeance, and Vengeance is kind of the main skill right now. Vengeance gives you a lot of survivability. It gives you attack speed, damage, all those stuff. I thought about the Iron Blade, and the Iron Blade would be a fun mechanic for a samurai when he wouldn't throw the blade, when he would use the blade as a strike. That would be fun because you parry something and then you strike with another sword in this case. That would be fun. But it didn't suit the overall samurai fantasies. I went away from that. So next up is Holy Aura. I went with this skill because you can explain it with the lore of samurai. Not only practice their swordsmanship and skills, they also practice their mental skills through meditation. So for me, this is like a meditation skill. You have higher elemental resistances. You have, of course, increased damage. You kind of inspired the people around you. That was like the thought process behind it. And of course, you get a little bit more resistances. This was the most explainable stuff for me. That's why I took the Holy Aura. Then let's come to the Healing Hands. Healing Hands is a little bit tricky because on the one side, you can explain it that of course, samurai had to learn how to use medicine, herbs, and first aid, so I went with that. On the other side, it also gives you a little bit of damage. From the play style, well, it doesn't fit that well. Healing Hands or Holy Aura changed a little bit the visuals. We have damage, we kind of heal ourselves even with the damage we do. And of course, it helps us out a lot with survivability. So those are the skills that I went with. And I would say there are not many other skills to choose. Rebuke could be also something you could use, because you could say you focus yourself into the defense stance and repel any attack and then retribute. I didn't try it out. It is possible, but I did not go with that. In the beginning, as you can see, I went with the spear. That is the gameplay until like level 50. Then I found the first Odachi. I can tell you my play was I was running around with the spear, attacking with the spear. And then I got promoted to the samurai and got my Odachi. And then I have to say, personally, it really, really spiked up the fun in the gameplay, because I was trying to, I felt like a samurai, to be honest. He did swing his sword, so like a true samurai. That was really fun to see that. And I progressed really well in the mid game. Afterwards, it was just time for the end game, and there you can go with Odachi or 2 katana, and now you really feel the nice, cool aesthetics of a samurai with those 2 swords, and it looked really cool. So that's for the approach to the game. Now, let me explain to you what I didn't like about the build. In the early game, it was okay, no problem, because you can progress with anything you want. In the mid game, and for me, the mid game was the monoliths, but the normal ones, right? It started to be really hard for me because there were some bosses that I had a hard time fighting. And you know why? Because you don't have any range attacks. Then The end game for me means like the 100 level 100 monolith. They are trial and error because I started with Rive, and Rive was pretty much really good, but then what happened was I died too quickly. That's why I went to the approach of using Vengeance, because Vengeance gives you way more survivability, damage, negation. The problem about this build is you really have to fight your demon samurai that needs to fight, otherwise you die. Each and every range and magic attack can be deadly. There were some mechanics, and I show you later, life-saving, but I don't know why. Maybe you guys can explain it to me. Let's get into the equipment and what I focused on. Bear in mind, I am not a super pro when it comes to last Epoch, and I'm a complete noob when it comes to the crafting system. I don't know how to improve, so I went usually for the weapons and the armors that gave me what I needed. Bleed damage, chance to bleed on hit. Attack speed is something that I chose. Life leech, what I just tried to do is meaty damage leech. Frailty is something that I really try to get. Armor shred, all those things could be probably better, and I would be happy if someone maybe tries or explains to me how to manage the equipment way better. So you can see I took this one because, first of all, 100% damage reflected is so good, I guess. Sometimes they die really from reflection. And you have the bleed again, bleed, and physical damage over time leech as health. So we're kind of surviving. You can see that. And also here, of course, I guess I could go more and more with survivability, but I chose the road of damage over time and bleed duration. It is a little bit unfortunate so far. We have only this little legendary katana. It would fit, but it has the fire damage, right? And ignite damage. So that does not fit the simple traditional samurai theme. So I will go now into a monolith, just show you how it runs. Now to the conclusion. Last Epoch, can I samurai? From the gameplay perspective, yes, you can, totally. You have the skills, you have abilities, you have the weapons for that, and that is probably the most important part about it. So the idea of a samurai is pretty much given. Then from the aesthetics, I can't say that about it. So I have to say it is really, really annoying to see your samurai in a plate mail, and the helmet is also really stupid. You can fix that probably with cosmetics. It is basically really annoying. You can do this build a little bit more flexible as a anime samurai, you know, the typical demon slayer style, where you use some lightning, for example, or maybe fire, and then you can use other abilities, and probably this build could work even better. My approach was just to do the samurai build, but as you noticed in the gameplay, you have these golden light thingies coming from you, so that could be used as a anime effect. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. And next up is probably Diablo 4. And to be honest, I don't think it is really possible there, but we will see. So hope to see you in the next one, and peace out.